A very good evening. You're watching our continuous coverage on the political crisis in which finds himself Imran Khan, the current Prime Minister for Pakistan, but not for long. It's game over, even before the trust vote. Why so? Take a look.
He was expected to bring about a Naya Pakistan. Instead, Naya Prime Minister is likely on the cards in Islamabad. By Tuesday night, Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan lost majority ahead of the no-trust vote against him that will be held in April. His party's key ally, the Muttahida Qawmi movement, has joined the opposition. On Monday, a no-confidence motion was tabled against Imran Khan by opposition leader and main contender for Prime Minister's position, Shahbaz Sharif.
To move the following resolution for a vote of no confidence against the Prime Minister.
161 अरकान तहरीक की हमायत में खड़े हैं, लिहाजा वज़ीर-ए-आज़म के खिलाफ अदम एतमाद के वोट की करारदाद पेश करने की इजाज़त दी जाती है.
When he took charge, Imran Khan, propped up with the support of the Pakistan Army and a globally recognized celebrity face who enjoyed familiarity with the West, had raised many hopes. Today, Pakistan's citizens are disillusioned with Imran. Protests break out regularly against his administration. So what went wrong for the cricketer turned Neta? Pakistan has dropped 16 spots in the corruption index and is ranked at 140, showing a huge increase in corruption as per Transparency International. Barring 2018, the economy has barely grown under his watch. Pakistan is battling high inflation, a slowing economy, and rising external debt servicing obligations to China and Saudi Arabia. Global money laundering and terrorist financing watchdog, the FATF, has retained Pakistan on its terrorism financing list. With regular interference on Kashmir, Imran has ignored his own backyard of terror shelters. Imran has not been able to come out of the image that he mainly acts on Pakistan Army and ISI orders. If Imran Khan loses the no-trust vote, PMLN President Shahbaz Sharif could be the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. Imran will now have two options: buy time for himself to garner support of allies for voting, and two, a last-minute agreement with the Pakistan Army and ISI. In Pakistan's so-called democratic history, no Prime Minister has completed a full term. Imran Khan's chances are also looking very slim at this time. Bureau Report, India Today.
In midst of all of this, viewers, Imran Khan has said that there's a foreign hand, that he has a letter somewhere down which establishes the fact that there is a foreign hand in terms of a foreign conspiracy trying to unseat him. Well, the numbers don't look good. We're going to just play out the numbers there. Imran Khan, even before the trust vote kicks in, is practically out of office. He'll have to pull out a miracle to actually buck what is right now stacking up against him in the Pakistan Assembly. With these numbers that we're showing to our viewers, let's cut across right now to our guests who are joining us. I have Rajiv Dogra, former Consul General to Pakistan. He's joining us live. So is Sushant Sareen, Strategic Affairs Expert and Senior Fellow, ORF, and Mona Alam. She's a journalist and she joins us from Pakistan. Mona Alam, for someone who's studying the developments which are happening at a rather hectic pace in Pakistan, what is it that we can expect? Nothing short of a miracle that could save Imran Khan this time around.
Yes, that sounds very correct and apt, because it's like a writing on the wall that the opposition doesn't just have 172 votes, rather it is in excess of votes. And their number is, I think, around 177 once the NQM has also joined them in. And we are not even counting the dissidents from Imran Khan's party, the PTI, because they've gone to the Supreme Court of Pakistan against the dissidents who have chosen to go against the party despite being members of the party and despite being elected on the PTI's ticket. So, the Supreme Court is yet to decide about that presidential deference that has been filed by the government of Pakistan or by the PTI, if I make it more appropriate. So, it is undecided as yet. But even if we do not count the dissident members of the PTI, the opposition has excess of votes. There are around, I think, 177 now. So it's like a writing on the wall. The Prime Minister cannot dissolve assemblies at this point in time because the no confidence vote has already been tabled against him, and it is very likely that the voting can take place even on a Sunday, because there were reports that they will not postpone the assembly session even for a Saturday, Sunday. The session is going to resume on a Friday, and it will probably go on Sundays, on Saturdays and Sundays as well. And there has to be a minimum of 3 day debate only, as per the Constitution of Pakistan, on the no trust vote. And once that 3 day debate is done, the voting can be also exercised. And there has to be a maximum of 7-day debate. So, you know, the debate cannot exceed the 7-day limit. So, I think the PTI is also privy to all these facts. They're not even trying to negotiate with their dissidents or their former allies anymore. They really know that they're out of numbers, extremely out of numbers.
You know, I'll go across to our other guests in just about a minute, if they allow me. I want to ask Mona a quick question. You know, Mona, the word was that Imran Khan would show a letter that he had, which pretty much establishes that there's a foreign hand at play to certain senior journalists in Pakistan. Have you found yourself in that list yet? Where are we going to see that letter at all?
Yeah, I was supposed to be in that list, but I think they postponed the meeting. But you know, as far as that letter is concerned, it's not just Imran Khan. Even the former prime ministers who had to pack their bags before the end of their 5-year term, all of them had pointed out to certain external hands in them being ousted out. Even Nawaz Sharif did so when in 2017 he was removed from his government. He said that because he started CPEC and because it was in his term that Pakistan became a nuclear power, so certain external agencies have ployed this against him. So yes, all of them did say this, and I think I cannot rule it out, because I've been saying this repetitively, that it cannot be a mere coincidence that no prime minister, elected civilian prime minister, has been able to complete his or her term, 5-year term in Pakistan. So it cannot be a mere coincidence. I mean, 75 years of our, and we are yet to see a single prime minister as such.
Mr. Dogra, now is that the reason that not a single prime minister has been able to complete his term in recent times has to do with the foreign hand, or much to do with the politics of Pakistan?
Well, I don't think there was any foreign hand in it. The so-called letter that Imran Khan was waving to the crowd was, according to one speculation, was a telegram which the Pakistani ambassador had sent to Islamabad, saying that Americans had objected to such and such action of Pakistan. Perhaps it was because of their abstention at the UN. So there was no foreign hand as such. And as Mona has very correctly pointed out, that when people are in difficulty in Pakistan, their leadership, then the foreign hand suddenly comes up. Before that, there's no mention of foreign hand. But as far as Imran Khan is concerned, the number of disasters at his hands are huge. You know, whenever the previous prime ministers were removed, there was a sigh of regret from Pakistanis and
Mr. Dogra, you're having a problem with your audio line. Can we just correct that audio line? Your voice is breaking. We're going to correct it. Meanwhile, I want to cut across to Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, the foreign hand narrative harks back to the 70s in India. But having said that, how closely would India be watching the developments in Pakistan?
Look, just a word on the foreign hand. I think what Ambassador Dogra said has been now validated by a number of news reports in Pakistan, that this was a communication from the Pakistani ambassador in Washington. And suddenly, you know, I think maybe it was Shah Mahmood Qureshi who got the bright idea of leading everybody up the garden path, and has probably ended up embarrassing Imran Khan even more by making him wave that letter. So these are kind of communications which diplomats do virtually on a daily basis. So clearly this was another fraud that was being pulled. As far as India is concerned, look, Pakistan is a troublesome neighbor, right? So we would be keeping a very close eye on the developments in Pakistan, but I don't think there is going to be any change in the Pakistani attitude towards India simply because there is a change of face in Islamabad. I think at the fundamental level, there is virtually going to be no difference between Shahbaz Sharif or Imran Khan. The only difference will be in cosmetics or in terms of, I don't expect Shahbaz Sharif to be vulgar or vile like Imran Khan was. He probably used much more measured language. And there is a chance that, full diplomatic relations could be restored for whatever that's worth. There is also a chance that there could be some minor trade which could start, but I don't see trade going back to the old days when India had given them a most favored nation status. And I don't see India buying anything from Pakistan because remember that after the Pulwama terrorist attack by the Pakistanis, Indian government had imposed a 200% duty on all Pakistani products. That hasn't been withdrawn. So frankly, I think there's a limited scope for trade as of now. There could be some messages exchanged, congratulating whoever succeeds Imran Khan. But beyond that, I don't see any major movement forward as far as India-Pakistan relations are concerned.
Mona Alam, what are we going to see in the next few days? Will we see, which now doesn't seem rather likely, at least with what we are looking at things, Imran Khan stepping down and avoiding and possibly sidestepping the shame of being pulled out in the assembly and voted out? Or we're going to see, him going all the way to the trust vote because the writing is on the wall?
I think he will go through the no trust vote because resigning, there were rumors of him resigning on some international channels, and I had corrected them even during the day that there is no such news and these are baseless rumors, because if I look at Imran Khan's political career, he really likes to play it in the very end, and he will really like to see as to what is left more out of his own cards and the trump cards, and what options does he have which he may exercise. He can only resign, he cannot dissolve the assemblies at this point in time. So he, I think, will really see and look into it as to what do the days bring in for him. But resigning, stepping down is not the characteristic of the Imran Khan that we all know. So I don't think that has been the case, and I don't think that will ever be the case even in the next coming days, which I think will not bring in any more changes because the opposition has succeeded in garnering all the numbers that they really wanted to. And yes, interestingly, Imran Khan and his party had also accused the opposition of bribing their dissident members. So, I think if they can somehow produce some evidences in support of their claims, that may, turn some popular vote in their favor. But at the end of the day, what they really need is the number in the parliament, which they're absolutely lacking as of now. As far as the popular support or the vote is concerned, we saw in his past rally that it was extremely well attended and Islamabad was literally choked that day. So yes, it was extremely well attended and he does enjoy the same popular support that he had in 2014. But you know what? It's really difficult to divide it among 10 or I think 11 opposition parties, present opposition parties, who are against Imran Khan. Once Imran Khan is ousted, once he's removed, I don't know how they're all going to distribute it among themselves. And they are, previous arch rivals. I don't know what will be the working relationship or the harmony among them all once they do get into a government. So I think ultimately they will have to go back into the quickest mode of election. And if that happens, then, supporters of Imran Khan still say that he does enjoy that majority and he would really like to come back into the government with at least a simple majority. Because as of now, he was on crutches. And that has actually led to his...
But, but Mr. Dogra, is that possible? Because, when you don't have one of the primary figure, the pillars on which stands the politics of Pakistan, which is the army, it's not siding with Imran Khan. Is it possible at all?
Well, in politics, everything is possible and everything is forgotten quickly. But Imran Khan has made sure he's treated as damaged goods from all sides.
Mr. Dogra, I'm afraid, sir, I apologize. We have some terrible audio line with you. Your voice is breaking. We can't quite hear a thing. I'm really sorry. I'm going to cut out with that. I apologize. But Sushant Sareen, let me put that question to you. Do you see that possible at all? And on the other hand, the clearest contender, at least that one looks at, is Shahbaz Sharif, PMLN. Would you reckon what would be the difference for Pakistan?
Look, number one, I think it's very clear that once a person goes out in the kind of ignominy that Imran Khan is going to go out, he doesn't come back, at least not in the next election. Maybe the election after that, he could come back. I disagree with what Mona is saying about Imran Khan's popularity. I think his popularity is going to be disproved at the hustings very clearly, because most of the people on whose backs he had ridden into power have deserted him. And if he gets 30-35 seats, I think he will be lucky. But having said that, yes, Shahbaz Sharif seems to be the clear successor. But I don't think he's going to run the government for the next year and a half, because whoever takes the crown from Imran Khan will be wearing a crown of thorns, given the kind of problems which Pakistan has and the kind of extremely, extremely difficult decisions which the next government will have to take, because Imran Khan has run the country and the economy to the ground. And some really tough decisions will have to be taken, which is going to cause a lot of economic distress. Now, no government would want to take those decisions at this point in time and then go to an election a year from now and lose. So I suspect that maybe whoever succeeds him will come into power for a month, maybe two, and then quit, hand over power to a caretaker government and go in for elections in the next 4-5 months. That could bring some degree of stability. But one last word, Shahbaz Sharif has been a fairly good administrator. At least he has the reputation for being a very effective and good administrator. And the kind of disarray in public affairs that we saw under Imran Khan, the kind of drift that was very visible in Pakistan, perhaps he will arrest that. Whether he can sort out all the humongous problems that Pakistan faces, that is, I think on that the jury is out.
All right. Okay, I'm going to ask a quick question to Mona Alam before, we bow out on this debate. Mona Alam, over the days to come, there's going to be a lot of word from this side of the border, which was India. But I want to ask you, in Pakistan, it's game over, clearly not now just the end game for Imran Khan. If there was a legacy of Imran Khan, which was to be written in Pakistan, very shortly, you can encapsulate it for us. What has Imran Khan stood for Pakistan?
Well, Imran Khan has initially tried to bring the change in the conventional system of politics. And I don't think, it really lasted for long, because the political system here in Pakistan is a really different ball game altogether, and it does require the conventional politics attached to it. So there were strings attached, and I don't think the legacy that Imran Khan leaves behind is of him being a very eloquent speaker that he always is and he always was. So this is, I think, how I would recall him, somebody who has had a clear tilt of being anti-West and somebody who really wanted to change the bloc that Pakistan lies in. He was pro-East, pro-USSR, former USSR, Russia, pro-China. I did see glimpses of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in him, because he has himself admitted that he's a fan of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto still rules the hearts of many Pakistanis here. I would just want to agree with Sushant here that he says Shahbaz Sharif is a good administrator, and 90% of problems, safely speaking, were attributed to Imran Khan by his Chief Minister of Punjab, Usman Buzar, that he has finally, I think, ousted from his post. But Shahbaz Sharif, in that particular capacity, being the ace administrator that he was, that I think, yes, can be something that we all Pakistanis would want to look up to. But other than that, I think Imran Khan, one of the worst decisions that he took while being in the government was appointing Usman Buzar at such a crucial position, and that, I think, is one big factor why most of his party members became dissident to it.
All right. Well, clearly, ousting him is a little too late in the day. But when it comes down to eloquence and anti-wealth, at least in the last few times, the way we have watched Imran Khan, he doesn't seem to have been on cue with that. But then that's a matter of debate. I appreciate you all for joining us. Thank you. It's a topic on news that is not going to end just now. The end game is on. In all probabilities, Imran Khan would need nothing short of a miracle to stay in office. We're going to keep a keen eye on developments. To stay with us, up next is Shivarur.